to my 3 viewers. Let's start this. So today we talked about parallel and perpendicular lines and the relationships that they have between the two lines, right? So I will, that's not it. So our first page here has this. So parallel lines, that's something about parallel lines. They never intersect unless they're on top of each other. Yeah, they never intersect and they share the same slope. The same slope, and that's key today. What's the symbol for that? Right here. Parallel lines. A little drawing there. 2 parallel lines. Another set of parallel lines. Another set of parallel lines. Perpendicular lines. They intersect and form 90-degree angles. Okay. The symbol for perpendicular line is this. And let me show you one. Well, here's a line, and there's a perpendicular line. It forms 90 degrees. There's another one here, and this one, 90 degrees. And then let me just extend it. Right? So in that intersection there, they form 90-degree angles. That's not different. All right, so silly example, but let's say that I had a line and, let's say I had a graph and I had a line like this where the slope is half, up 1 to the right, up 1 to the right. Let me just make it, pretend it's here. All right, so if there was another line parallel to that one, let's call that the purple line, what would be the slope of that purple line? Well, the purple line would also have a slope of a half. Now, let's say there was a perpendicular line intersecting the blue line, right? Remember, forming 90 degrees. What's the relationship between the slope of the blue line and the slope of the black line? Well, the slope of the black line would be the negative reciprocal, so 1 over 2 would be 2 over 1, and we would change the sign. So if you multiply the slope of the blue line and the slope of the black line, you will get -1. That's what I mean by negative reciprocal. So the slope of line 1 times the slope of line 2, right? I'm talking about the blue and the black. It's always going to equal -1. But the trick, like you said in class, I don't know, if you want to negate and flip, that's, I guess, the easy way to remember. So second one, again, imagine there is a graph and there's a line that has a slope of -3. I'm just create it right here. Change colors. Here's a line with a slope of -3. And there's another line that's parallel to that one. What would be the slope of that blue line? Well, the slope of the blue line would also be -3. And then let's say there was a line that was perpendicular to the red line, right? Remember here, forms 90 degrees. What's the relationship between the slope of the red line and the orange line? Well, the slope of the red line and the orange, they have a relationship where one would be the negative reciprocal of the other one. So if the slope of the red line is -3, the slope of the orange line would be the reciprocal, 1 over 3, and we would negate whatever it was. So if it was negative, now it's positive, and so it's 1/3. Okay. Another one, so pretend there is a line and then a graph, and then there's a line -4 over 5, so it's negative, so there we go. That line has a slope of -4 over 5, and they're saying, hey, there's a parallel line, parallel. And what would be the slope of this line? Well, the slope of that line would also be -4 over 5, and that's what I'll put over here. But what if there was a line that was perpendicular to the blue line, like this? What would be the slope of this line? Well, the slope of this line would be the negative reciprocal of this guy, so 5 over 4, but instead of negative, be positive, so 5/4. Next one, again, here's the graph. Let's say the slope is 1, right? go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, right? So I don't know what the y-intersect is. I'm just making this up. So here, the slope of this line is 1. If you had a line that was parallel to that one, let me just draw it right here, parallel, they will never intersect. What would be the slope of this line? Well, because they're parallel, they share the same slope. M equals all to 1. But what if you had a line that was perpendicular to the first one? Well, what's the relationship between the slope of this orange line and the aqua one? Well, it would be the reciprocal. So what's the reciprocal over 1 would be 1 over 1. And we would negate it. So it just becomes negative 1. Last one. Last one's a little bit different. So let's imagine a graph. And you had a line where the slope was 0. So what kind of line is that? First of all, it'd be a horizontal line. Right? Like that. So here, the slope equals 0. So if you had another line that's parallel to that blue one, let's make it right here. What would be that slope? Well, that slope would also be 0. Let me write that here. But what if there was a perpendicular line to this, the blue line? Right there. Perpendicular forms 90 degrees. What do we call the slope of a vertical line? It's undefined. Now, if you think about it, if the slope of this is 0, and we talked about in class, so we would use the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 0? Would be 1 over 0, and then negate it. You get negative 1 over 0. But what's 1 divided by 0? A number divided by 0 is undefined, so this would be undefined. Here, I only asked you to do 6 and 7 because we didn't go over how to change an equation that's not written in this format, right? Slope y-intercept format, which is what we recognize, right? Y equals mx plus b. So any equation that's written in this format, look how easy it is to recognize what the slope is. So right off the bat, in number 6, who's the slope? Right here, a half. Who's the y-intercept? Negative 3/4. Well, it's so easy because it's in this format. Now, questions 8, 9, 10, 11 are not in that form, so it's not that easy to recognize. There are a few things you have to do. I'll do it, but you don't have to worry about it until Friday. So, 6. Here's an equation. The slope is a half. The y-intercept is negative 3/4. So if you created another line that's parallel to that one, what would be the slope? Well, the slope would be also a half. What if you created a line that is perpendicular to number 6? Well, then the slope would be the reciprocal and negative, or just better yet, negative 2. For number 7, the slope is negative 7, so any line that's parallel to that one would also share the same slope. But any line that's perpendicular to this one, the slope would be 1 over 7, and instead of negative, it would be positive. So for number 8, we have to rewrite this equation so that it looks, so that is in this format. Y is going to be all by itself, the x is going to be on the other side, and the constant's on the other side. So let's work on that. So, first of all, I'm going to write it like this. 10y minus 3 equals 3x, right? So notice that the 3x is already on the right side, so I want to throw this 3 to the other side, so I'm going to do plus 3 and plus 3 over here. This goes away. I'm left with 10y equals 3x plus 3. Remember, they're not like terms. I can't combine it, right? So it's starting to look like this, right? It's starting to look like this. But my y here has a constant of 10. So I want to get rid of the 10. So how do I get rid of 10? If I get rid of 10, remember, it's 10 times y. So I'm going to use division, the inverse operation here. I'm going to divide that by 10. And I'm going to divide the other side by 10. So everybody on the other side gets divided by 10 as well. Look what happens. 10 divided by 10 goes away. I'm left with y all by itself, which is what I wanted. And on the other side is 3 over 10x. That's my slope. And then plus 3 over 10, which is my y-intercept. So this becomes this. And now I can answer the question. What is the slope of a line that's parallel to this guy here? Well, if they're parallel, they share the same slope. So it's 3 over 10. And if a line is perpendicular to that, then it would be the reciprocal, 10 over 3, but negative. So there are two steps. First, you got to rewrite the equation, and then you can figure out what the slope is. So the same thing for next one. So again, let me write what it should look like. Mx plus b. So it looks 6x minus 5y equals 11. So that's what it looks right now. So let's get everything I want the x, sorry, I want the y all by itself here. So let's throw the x to the other side. So I'm going to do minus 6x and minus 6x on both sides. If I do that, that goes away. I'm left with negative 5y. And on the other side, remember, I'm going to keep it in the format, I'm going to write minus 6x plus 11. So it's slowly taking this shape. Now, that y there has to be by itself, so I have to get rid of the negative 5y because it's multiplying. I'm going to divide. So divide by negative 5. And I'm dividing everybody on the other side by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is just 1, or it leaves me with y. And on the other side, we can make some of this a little bit simpler. So it's negative divided by negative, so it's a positive, and it just becomes 6 over 5x. And then 11 positive divided by negative, it's going to be negative, and we just write it like that. That's my y-intercept. So now that I rewrote this in the format, slope point intercept format, what is the slope? 6 over 5. So a line that's parallel to this would also share 6 over 5 slope. And a line that's perpendicular to this would have the reciprocal, but negative. Okay. 10. Oh, we have two more. Shoot. Right. 10 looks a little bit easier because it has most of it done already. So again, let me write what it should look like. So right now I have 3y equals negative 4x minus 24. It almost is in the format that we want, except that I have to get rid of this 3 here. So how do I get rid of that? Divide by 3. We're going to divide everything on the other side by 3. By 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I'm left with y. On the other side, negative 4 divided by 3. Let me just leave it at that. Negative 4, 3 over x. And then minus 24, negative 24 divided by 3 is just negative 8. So there. This becomes that. It means the same thing. Now that I know what that is, I know what the slope is, I know what the y-intercept. So if a line is parallel to this line, then they share the same slope. If a line is perpendicular to this line, then their slopes are related in a way that it is a negative reciprocal. So 3 over 4, but instead of negative, it becomes positive, right? We negate it, and we use the reciprocal. Last one. Last one, nope. Here. Again, y equals mx plus b. We have 3x minus 5y equals 10. So I want to get this 3x to the other side. I want to get rid of the 3x, and I want to get rid of the 5. So let's get rid of the 3x first. Minus 3x, and then minus 3x on the other side. That goes away. I'm left with negative 5y. And instead of writing 10 minus 3x, I'm going to write negative 3x plus 10, right? So just to keep it in this format where the slope comes first and then the y-intercept. I'm almost there. Let me divide this by negative 5, and I'm going to divide everybody on the other side by negative 5 as well as negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1. I'm left with y. Negative divided by negative is positive, so let's just rewrite that as 3/5 of x. And then 10 positive divided by 5 negative is just minus 2. Now this becomes this, and I can answer my two questions. So a line that's parallel to this will share the same slope, which is going to be 3/5. A line that's perpendicular to this line will have the negative reciprocal, or 5 over 3 negative. Right? That will be the slope of a line that's perpendicular to the one we just did. All right, so we'll do that on Friday. Don't worry about it. All right, so now we have 2. So write an equation of the line containing the point A3 who is parallel to this line. So let's first of all draw this line. Y-intercept is positive 2, so let me make a dot right here. Slope is 3 over 4, so up 3, 4 to the right. So up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go right, 1, 2, 3, 4, because the slope has to be positive, right, when I connect the dots. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's enough. Let me connect these dots. So our first line looks like that. And I'm going to give it a name because it has a name. Okay, so that's what we start with. Now we want to create the line that's parallel to that one. What do I know about that other line? Well, the only thing I know about the other line is that it's parallel to the purple line and it goes through 8, 3. So let me find out where 8, 3 is. Well, we're going to have to extend this graph. So 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3. It's going to be here. So here's the point, 8, 3. So there's a parallel line that's about to be created, okay, that we're going to create. And it's going to look somewhat like this, parallel, right? And we need its equation. So let's start writing the equation. Y equals of this new line that's parallel to the purple one that I'm about to create. What do I know about it? Well, I know that it goes through 8, 3, and because it's parallel, it shares the same slope. So the slope is going to be 3, 4, 3/4. X. What's my y-intercept? I don't know yet, so I'm going to write B. Let's use one point that we know about this new line, and the only point I know is the point 8, 3, so I'm going to use 8, 3. Substitute. So instead of y, I'm going to write 3. Instead of x, I'm going to write 8, and then plus b. 3 equals 6 plus b. I'm going to subtract 6 from each side. And b equals -3. So now I know that the y-intercept for this line that I'm about to make is right here. So I can fill this in. The y-intercept of the new line that's parallel to the purple one is -3. And its slope, I already knew that from the beginning because they share the same slope. Now the only thing left over for me to do is connect these dots. A little better than that. There we go. And that one has a name, and its name is y equals 3/4 x, same slope, but different y-intercept. Okay. We have one more dealing with parallel lines. Clear objects. Okay, same thing. Here's a line that's parallel to this one, right? And it goes through 7 and -2. So first of all, let's graph this. The y-intercept is -1, so here it is. Up and down is 3, left and right. The change in y is 3. Change in x is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's positive, so that's why I went right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There. More than enough. I can connect these, and that's my original line. Here's the arrow, don't forget the arrows. Y equals 3/7 x minus 1, right? So they want us to create a new line that's parallel to that one, and that parallel one is going to go through 7 and -2. So let's find 7 and -2. So it's 7 to the right and -2 right here. So this new line that we're about to create, we know it's parallel, so it's going to look something like this. Okay, parallel. So we need to find the y-intercept, this guy right here, which is somehow, right now, I don't know what it is. Okay, so let me erase this because I don't know where it is. Right? So the only thing I know is that parallel line, the new line, goes through here, -7 and -2. That's the only thing I know. So let's start writing. Y equals this new line. What's the slope of this new line? Well, because they're parallel, they're shared, so they're both. It's going to be 3/7 x plus b. I don't know what b is. Well, I know what the slope is. Let me fill that in. Let's use a point, and the only point on this new line that I know is this point right here. Okay, so that's the only point I can use. So I'm going to say use 7 -2. Let's find b. Substitute. -2 equals 3/7 times 7 plus b. -2 equals 3 plus b, right? This simplifies to 1. And then -3 here, -3 here. B equals -5. So I found the other point. So the new line has a y-intercept of -5. And honestly, we could have done this. So from this point, I could have counted 3 up and down. So 1, 2, 3, and then gone 7 to the left. But I need you guys to practice this part right here, right? Finding B. So now I am ready to create this line. Okay. Let me create this line, which is parallel, right? There you go. And arrow here, and this new line has a name. Y equals same slope, 3 over 7x, but the intercept is -5. There we go. So that would be a perfect, perfect way of showing all your work. All right, so now that's for what do you call parallel. Let's do a couple that deals with perpendicular. Same thing, except for a couple of differences here, minor differences, clear objects. Okay. So first thing we do is draw our original line. Y equals 3/4 x plus 2. It's positive slope. The y-intercept is here. Up and down, I want you to count 3. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Our change in x is 4. Change in y is 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There. That's enough. Let me graph this line. Oops. No. Let me graph it. Better job. There we go. A little better. So that's my line that's given to me. Y equals 3/4 x plus 2. Now they're saying, hey, show me where the new line is that is perpendicular to this line. So what do I know about the new line? Well, the new line, I know that it's going to go through 6, -2. So 6 and -2. So here. This new line is going to cross like this. Perpendicular, not parallel, perpendicular. So let me stretch it. Right? And they form 90-degree angles. 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. So I know that much. So it sort of looks like that. Let me erase it because it's really ugly. So I know this new line is going to go through the point 6, -2. So let's start writing. My equation is y equals, what's the slope of this red line? This red line? Well, what's the relationship? Well, if it's perpendicular, we know that we're going to take this slope 3/4, use a negative reciprocal, so it becomes 4/3, and it was positive, so now it's negative. So -4/3 x, and do I know where is it going to cross the y-axis? Not yet. So plus b. Let's use a point on this perpendicular line that's coming about, and the only thing I know this point 6, 2. So I want you to use a point 6, -2. So replace, we got -2 equals -4/3 times 6 plus b. -2 equals -8 plus b, plus 8 on both sides. B equals 6. So the y-intercept is 6 right here. So now I can finally draw this perpendicular line because I have 2 points. Shoot, let me change colors. There we go. There's my perpendicular line. Look how pretty that is. Right, so this blue one is the perpendicular line, and let's give it a name. What's the name of it? It's y equals, the slope is not the same, it's the reciprocal, the negative reciprocal, so 4/3, but negative. And what's my y-intercept? Right here at plus 6. So that's the equation of the new line. Can't make this easier. And we do one more. Okay. Clear objects. So again, start with the first line. It has a slope of 3/7, and then a y-intercept of -1. So right here. Right, it's just like we used this exact same equation right before. So -1, it's positive. So up and down, changing y is 3, changing x is 7. So 1, 2, 3, and it goes all the way up to here. 1, 2, 3, and goes all the way up to here. So that's my original line. Right. So we're gonna base everything off this line. So this line is given to us. All I did was graph it. Now they're saying that there is a line that's going to be crossing and it's going to be perpendicular and it's going to go through 3 and negative 1. Where's 3, negative 1? 3, negative 1, right here. So the new line that we're about to make is going to go like this, perpendicular, right? Perpendicular. So let me erase that horrible thing. Let's start writing the equation. Y equals this new, I'll keep it, this new green line, which is perpendicular. What is the slope? I know the slope, right? Because if it's perpendicular to the original line here, what's the relationship? Well, it's the negative reciprocal. So the slope of the blue line was 3 over 7, so the slope of this new one is going to be 7 over 3, and negative. And then plus b, because I don't know where the y-intercept is. So let's continue. We're going to need a point, and which point? I need a point on the green line, right, the perpendicular line, and this is the only one that I know, so use that. So we get negative 1 equals negative 7 over 3 times 3 plus b. Negative 1 equals, this crosses out to 1, simplifies to 1, negative 7 plus b. And plus 7 to both sides, and we get b equals 6. So I have my y-intercept now. So the y-intercept is 6. The point that was given to us earlier was 3 and negative 1. There. I was a little bit off. But now that I have these 2 points, I can connect with a different color. Oh my god. Here. There's my new line that's perpendicular to the original. And what is its name? Its name is y equals the reciprocal of 3 over 7, 7 over 3, negate it, minus x, and then what was the intercept? Plus 6. That's really it. Okay, that's it. Please study for your quiz tomorrow.